What's up, wrestling fans? My name is Aaron, your analytical assassin. This is Wrestling by Wooldridge, and this is the second episode of the YWC, the YouTube Wrestling Council, where I've asked 4 other awesome YouTube/podcast channels a wrestling related opinion based question. So in this episode we will be asking the question, who are the 4 pillars of the WWE? Now this could mean 4 up and comers similar to AEW's 4 pillars, or 4 all-time WWE greats, because after all WWE has a much bigger history than AEW, so the question is definitely up for interpretation. Now a quick disclaimer, this is obviously a very subjective question, so even if you don't agree with anyone's answer, please respect their opinions if you're leaving a comment down below or if you're interacting with the creator on social media. However, do make sure to give each and every one of these creators a subscribe or a follow on their podcast or YouTube channels, and follow them on Twitter. You will be able to find all of the links in the description down below. So we will kick things off with my 4 pillars of the WWE, and I'm going to go with 4 stars who I think the company could build around in 5 or so years time. Bron Breakker, who I think has an unlimited amount of potential. He fits the mold that WWE looks for in their performers. He's great in the ring, solid on the mic, and he has a great presence. Carmelo Hayes is another performer in NXT who I think could reach the top of the mountain in the WWE. Like Bron, not quite the finished article just yet, but he's extremely talented, and personally I'm a big fan of his promo ability. Gable Steveson is another potential pillar who I think the company will inevitably build around once he debuts for the company. I don't want to compare him to Kurt Angle, but if he does take to professional wrestling in a similar fashion, Gable could very well be the next big thing. And for my 4th choice, I've gone with a female performer, Gigi Dolan. This might surprise people, but I honestly think she's going to go very far in the company. She's currently doing great work with Toxic Attraction, where she's viewed by many as the star of the group. I think she has all the tools necessary to thrive in WWE's women's division for years to come, especially considering she's just only 24 years old. But let's move on to our first guest, a brilliant YouTuber who makes excellent content on a frequent basis. He tells it like it is and never shies away from making his opinions heard, which I have a ton of respect for. He produces a variety of fun content, and he's been a friend to the channel since its inception. I'll always appreciate his comments. For the first time, please welcome Destroyer BHB.
Yo, what's up? It's good to finally be on this channel. So, your question today is who the 4 pillars of the WWE in the current times are. So, I'm going to lay down my 4 pillars so y'all can see for yourself. Okay, the first of these pillars I'll say is Roman Reigns. Like him or not, this guy has been at the top of WWE for years now. And he's got to be wrestling's biggest star for this generation. This current generation, it's got to be Roman Reigns. Then is Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar, has always been in the world title scene. And he's currently right now the biggest thing going on. His cowboy thing is extremely entertaining. He's electrifying. This whole thing with Brock Lesnar is just quite the ride. I'll say Drew McIntyre also, because he's one of the most reliable performers WWE currently has. He, of course, during the quarantine, carried Raw through the boredom of not having any fans there and gave it entertainment while everything else was empty. So you really got to give him credit for that. And he's just one of the biggest stars WWE currently has in this new era, I guess you could sort of say. And the last pillar in WWE right now is probably Bron Breakker. He is the freshest star they have. He's the newest one. He's on the quickest rise. Everybody is thinking that this guy's going to become a world champion in the main roster. I hope they do that, because I see a lot of talent in Bron Breakker. So yeah, those are my 4 pillars.
Next up we have another YouTuber / Twitch streamer / writer, another huge friend to the channel who has been supportive since day one. He makes very engaging content on his YouTube channel, discussing some of the biggest topics in wrestling with his co-hosts. He's recently started a Twitch channel where he's currently uploading WWE 2K22 content, and is now a writer for No DQ. He's a man of many talents.
How's it going, everybody? Warren here from the DiscusLariat Collective. Thanks, Aaron, for having me on the channel for the first time. Really do appreciate it. And what a question. The 4 pillars of WWE. Suppose you could ask me this maybe every day and I'd probably have a different answer for you. But I'm going to try step back from it and think of like who made the company like more money, who pushed it forward through hard times, stuff like that. So I think the first pillar would probably have to be Bruno Sammartino. I think when you look back, before you had Hogan, you had Bruno like flying the flag for about 20 odd years. And I seen a stat before that he helped sell out Madison Square Garden over 180 times. That's insane. So he'd be the first pillar, Bruno Sammartino. Second then would be Hulk Hogan. Whether you love him or hate him, as a person, he's a bit of a whatever. Can't really probably say it right now, but as a person, he's not great. But in terms of what he did for the business, Hulkamania, if there was no Hulkamania, that probably wouldn't be WWE to the level that it is at today. And I think he main event, I think the first 9 or so WrestleManias, I think, something crazy like that. But yeah, Hogan's gonna have to be a pillar. After that, I'd say Stone Cold Steve Austin, hands down one of the biggest, if not the biggest draw of all time in WWE. And I think as well, another thing, like more personally, would be Stone Cold kind of made it cool to be a wrestling fan, especially around that time, like the late 90s and stuff like that. He really was the coolest character. To this day, I think he still is. I like the whole, like, obviously battering his boss, that's one thing, but just how cool he was. And he was just, there was no airs or graces about him. He was just him. He was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He lived the character, and he really did push that company forward throughout the 90s and even the early 2000s, when he kind of took a back seat and he was more so like doing laughy and jokey bits and pieces. He still was so entertaining to watch. And then his big trilogy with The Rock, iconic. And then in terms of my fourth pillar, it would probably have to be John Cena. Just the whole PG era, even from 2002 up till now. Well, up to like last year, but from 2002 onwards, he really did spearhead that company. Yeah, sometimes he probably shouldn't have had the title or it got boring, but again, he put so many butts in seats, and that's what professional wrestling's all about, I suppose, as a business. And yeah, he kind of transcends the wrestling world, kind of the way like Hulk Hogan would. He, like, obviously he's a movie star, he's all sorts now, and he really is bigger than wrestling. And again, that helped WWE immensely throughout the kind of the rougher kind of patch around like 2006, 7, 8. I think if it wasn't for him, they would have struggled a bit. So yeah, I'd say Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and John Cena are my 4 pillars of WWE.
Our third content creator is someone who I've looked up to ever since I started the channel, an awesome YouTuber with amazing production values who always makes top tier content. He uploads all kinds of topical videos, more recently including Attitude Era moments that went too far and a best and worst of series. It's an absolute pleasure to have him on the channel. It's rated R for Rasslin.
Alright, who are the 4 pillars currently in WWE? We've heard the 4 pillars thing happen in AEW, but when it comes to WWE and Wrestling by Wooldridge asked me to make this little clip, my current crop of 4 pillars has to be 2 of the male superstars, 2 of the female superstars, and I think it's pretty easy to choose which ones they are. From the female side, you have Becky Lynch, you have Charlotte Flair. From the male side, you have Seth Rollins, and you have the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, which is the most obvious one of all. Now, all 4 have been true and proven commodities for Vince McMahon, especially in this era where he's releasing everybody left and right, and he does not have a lot of confidence in who can make money for him and who can't. So I think with these 4 individuals, they're the most reliable and the ones that have the most trust from Vince McMahon to do whatever they want out there, have fun, and put butts in seats, which is the bottom line. So those are my 4 pillars for the current WWE product: Reigns, Rollins, Lynch, and Flair.
And then last but certainly not least, my 4th guest is a podcaster who may well be the MVP of the IWC. He is one of, if not the biggest supporter to a whole host of content creators across social media, including myself, which I am always grateful for. But what's even better is that he now has his own fantastic podcast, which has honestly taught me a whole lot about wrestling psychology and its history. There's the real truth, and then there's the heel truth. Please welcome Ted, the Hillbilly Heel from the Heel Truth podcast.
This is Ted, the Hillbilly Heel, from the Heel Truth Wrestling podcast at Hillbilly Heel. This is for Wrestling by Wooldridge, the analytical assassin. 4 pillars of WWE. I'm going with some young talent that I think they should build upon. First, Bianca Belair. Definitely great in-ring, just phenomenal athlete. They should definitely be building upon her. Braun Breaker, he's definitely the future once they move him up. I think he would be really great. Also, Austin Theory, they seem to like him. Vince really seems to like him. I think he could be somebody they could build upon for the future. And then finally, a little bit maybe not expected, but Cameron Grimes. I think Cameron Grimes has great in-ring work. He has great promo skills. He can play the heel, he can play the face, he can do comedy, whatever they ask him to do. I think he would be a great person to build upon and give a real good push when they do put him up on the main roster. So that's my picks for the pillars of WWE going forward.
Fantastic picks from Ted there, and great picks from everyone, to be honest. I love how WWE's version of the 4 pillars is a much broader topic to discuss. Everyone has a slightly different idea behind its meaning, which is actually pretty cool. But the YouTube Wrestling Council has spoken. So are your 4 pillars the same as anyone else's from this video? If so, let me know in the comments section down below. Again, I just wanted to give a massive thank you to all of the creators that were a part of this video. Please, please, please give them all a subscribe and a follow on social media. Now, before I go, I just wanted to give a quick update on the channel. Firstly, I wanted to apologise for not uploading a match of the week this past weekend. I'll be honest, I am in a bit of a rut at the moment in terms of the content I want to produce. Ever since I started the channel, I've kind of experimented with different ideas. Some of them have worked and some of them haven't, but what I have realised is that I'm not exactly the best at sticking to a schedule. I want to be as consistent as possible, but I am finding it tough to find that balance between the channel and my personal life. So I am going to be taking a break just to reassess where I want the channel to go moving forward. But when I return, hopefully I'll be back to making content that you and I can enjoy. A massive thank you for sticking by me though. I really do appreciate it so much. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WrestlingByW. I'll always be active on there. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, give it a share across social media, and hit the notification bell to be notified when I make my return and when I release new videos. I hope you all have great days, guys, and I shall see you all for the next one. Bye bye.